The Los Angeles Clippers have died, not as frauds, and not as punchlines, and not as one of those hollow teams that spend 6 months pretending to be alive. No, this one's far worse. The team started the season 6-21. 6-21, not a slump. That's organ failure. That's a season beginning in triage. Somehow, impossibly, they dragged themselves out of it and finished 42-40. They became the first team in league history to be 15 games under 500 and still finish with a winning record. So understand what died here. It wasn't a fake season, it was a resurrection. That's why this one hurts, because the Clippers didn't spend the year proving they were dead. They spent the year proving they could live. Then tonight, with the season on the table, with the body still warm, and escape right there in front of them, they ran into the oldest horror in modern basketball, Steph Curry. Final score, Golden State 126, Los Angeles Clippers 121. Welcome back to Postmortem, where we do not talk about eliminated teams like they were jokes. We talk about them like they were bodies. Only one franchise gets all the way to the end. Everyone else gets a postmortem. Everyone else gets a cause of death. Everyone else leaves behind symptoms, false hopes, surviving tissue, and one official ruling. Tonight's body is the Los Angeles Clippers, and this is an unusual one because the final 5 minutes, not the whole story. The final 5 minutes killed them, but the season itself made them killable. Date of death, April 10th, 2026. Time of death, late in the fourth quarter of the 9 versus 10 West play-in. When a close game stopped feeling like a shared contest and started feeling like one man walking into the room with a cape on. The official final was Warriors 126, Clippers 121. And that's what goes on the death certificate. But you and I both know time of death is never just a timestamp. Sometimes a team dies long before the final horn. Sometimes the horn is just when the room is ready to admit it. Primary cause of death was infection by Curry. Not just scoring and not just shot making. It was an infection. There are players who beat you with production. Steph beats you with contamination. He changes spacing before he touches the ball. He changes the pulse rate before he shoots. And he changes decision making in defenders who aren't even assigned to him. One step in the wrong direction and suddenly the entire defensive structure starts behaving like it's been poisoned. And that's what it looks like down the stretch. The game got tight and the air got thin. The margin for error collapsed, and the Clippers found themselves in the worst possible medical environment for a team already hanging by threads. A late game governed by Steph Curry's gravity. Jimmy Butler once called Steph Curry Batman, and that wasn't just a cute quote. It was a useful diagnosis. Butler explicitly described himself as Robin and Curry as my Batman, which is about as clean a myth frame as you could ask for, because Batman isn't a normal superstar metaphor. Batman is what you call somebody who appears when the city gets dark and starts deciding the outcome like he has private permission. And that's what Steph is in these moments, an underlying condition. Now here's the important part. The Clippers didn't die because of one bad quarter. No, they died because they spent too much of the season hemorrhaging margin. Again, 6-21. And that matters. It matters because when you start that badly, every good thing that follows is recovery, not insulation. Every win, medicine, not invincibility. Every stretch of competence is just you clawing your way back towards the right to be vulnerable in public. And the Clippers did that. They won 36 of their final 55 to get to 42-40 in the play-in. It's one of the best recovery stories in the league. But recovery is not the same thing as being healthy. The team spent the first third of a season digging a grave and then spent the rest of the year proving it could climb out. It's admirable and it's real and worth respecting. It's also fatal because when you live like that, one bad night can cash the check that the opening month wrote. So what were the symptoms? First, early catastrophic blood loss, the 6-21 start. That's the underlying trauma, the pre-existing condition that never fully left the bloodstream. Second, late exposure to a known pathogen. The Clippers entered a win or go home game against the Warriors team. Yes, they only finished 37-45, but they got Steph Curry back. Curry's back in the building after a season mangled by his absence. Curry had missed 27 straight games and only played 43 games in the whole year. That makes Golden State unstable, but it didn't make him harmless. Third, collapsing margin under stress. This is what it always looks like in these deaths. It's not that the team forgets how to play, it's that the game gets narrow enough that every weakness suddenly has a microphone. Fourth, myth exposure. You can prepare for a player. It's harder to prepare for the legend version of that player. And late in games, Steph stops feeling like a player and starts feeling like a weather system. Okay, false hope. This is the section where the show has to be fair because the Clippers earned false hope the honest way. Their false hope wasn't delusion, it was evidence. They had every reason to die in December. Instead, they built a real season. They fought back above 500 and extended the franchise's streak of winning records to 15. They gave themselves a chance, and not a fake chance, a real one. The kind where rational people can look at the body before death and say, no, wait, this thing has a pulse, still has legs, it's alive. And that's why this death has weight. The Clippers didn't spend the year lying to us. They convinced us. Then they died anyway. And that's premium false hope, the expensive kind, the kind that makes fans angry because it was real enough that they could trust it. The body that didn't die, that's where the Warriors matter, because part of the cruelty here is that the Clippers didn't get eliminated by some serene, fully functional juggernaut. Golden State's damaged too. Steph played just 43 games this season. He missed 27 straight with a knee injury, and he came into this play-in run under a minutes restriction. The Warriors finished 37-45 and entered the game as the West's 10th seed. So this wasn't a death by unstoppable machine. This was death by damaged greatness, which may be worse, because damaged greatness still contains greatness, but sometimes it contains nothing else. If you let that version of Steph into a close game, then all the regular season logic, all the balanced analysis, all the team shape, all of it starts to burn away. You're no longer playing the season. You're playing Steph Curry in the dark. So what survives the Clippers? Not tonight's final sequence and not the scoreboard. Also not the immediate pain. What survives is the resurrection itself. The answer to the question, did this team have real life in it? The answer is yes, absolutely. The 2025-26 Clippers were not just a team that got hot for a while. They were a team that survived a nearly fatal opening, remade the season, finished with a winning record, and forced the basketball world to take them seriously again. They became the first team in NBA history to go from 15 under 500 to a winning record. That survives. Also, proof of competence, proof of nerve, and proof that this season deserves a better obituary than lost in the play-in. And that matters, because postmortem is not about how teams die. It's about whether there is anything worth preserving from the body. There was. So here's the ruling. Official ruling, acute infection by Curry, complicated by severe early season blood loss. That's the clean one. If you want the colder version, resurrected too late and killed by Batman. And if you want the version that sounds most like a coroner who watches basketball, the Clippers recovered from the wound, but not from the timing of the wound. The Clippers have died, but they didn't die cheap. They didn't die as frauds. And they didn't die because the season was empty or nobody believed. They died because they spent the first third of the year damaging themselves, the middle third proving they were alive, and the last third earning just enough hope to make the final blow devastating. They died because one bad start can stay in your bloodstream for months, and because the play-in doesn't care how noble your comeback was. They died because the wrong superstar found the game at the wrong time. They died because Batman showed up. Final score, Warriors 126, Clippers 121. The body, Los Angeles Clippers. The cause, Curry. The deeper truth is margin. There's your postmortem. Thanks for watching.